think it's important to always get better. You don't get better unless you look at criticism that we have. And, this report is very critical of our police department.
Take their recommendations. Do what's necessary. Your department deserves it. The citizens of the city of Phoenix deserves it. Every taxpayer whose taxpayers' dollars have had to pay out these millions and billions of dollars in settlement money, they deserve better.
And welcome back to Square Off. 3 years after announcing its investigation of Phoenix police, the U.S. Justice Department pulled no punches in its long-awaited report on what it found. Violations of the constitutional rights of people police have sworn to protect, people of color, people experiencing homelessness, and the mentally ill. There were serious concerns about police treatment of children. In the words of Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark, the findings are severe and the police can't be counted on to police themselves. Joining us now to break down this pretty tough report and explain what might come next is Taylor Seeley. She reports on the city of Phoenix for the Arizona Republic. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thank you.
A big question. Why should the people of Phoenix, no matter who you are, care about this report?
Well, this report is about our city's police department. These are people who are supposed to make our society safe and make us as individuals feel safe. If you don't believe you personally would be affected, that's one thing, but there are others who are affected by the anecdotes in this report. And so you have to think about, are people feeling safe in our society?
Let's address right away one persistent question that we hear, which is this report really covers stuff that happened years ago. In some cases, an event in 2017, a protest outside a Donald Trump rally. Some police supporters argue the department has moved past that, has made changes. That really shouldn't matter. What does the report say about that?
Well, I'm glad you asked about that because the report does go back even as far as 2016, but it also acknowledges reforms that have been made more recently. And what the report says is that these reforms look promising on paper, but they have either failed to materialize or are not actually occurring in practice. So they look promising, it could improve, but at the end of the day, the Justice Department thinks serious structural reform is necessary.
Among the key findings, these allegations, several allegations of violations of people's civil rights, what jumped out at you?
One of the things Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark pointed out was the historic finding that Phoenix Police Department violate constitutional rights of people experiencing homelessness. Nearly 40% of the city's misdemeanor low-level offenses, nearly 40% of those citations were actually garnered by people experiencing homelessness.
And the history in that is what?
The city has long struggled with homelessness.
But I should rephrase the question. The history in that opinion is that this is the first time the DOJ has ever said,
correct,
come down with that?
Yeah, this is the first time. They called it a historic finding.
A historic finding. Where does the DOJ stand right now on a consent decree? Because the city of Phoenix had vigorously opposed that before this came out.
The Justice Department stands pretty firm that they believe that's the avenue that works. They think Phoenix really seriously needs some accountability from an outside force. They argue that consent decrees, where you have a court enforcing it and an outside monitor overseeing, they believe that's the best path forward. I think that's what they want.
And this was kind of an odd release of the report in that the city of Phoenix, after 3 years, they'd spoken with DOJ investigators. They had no idea what was going to be in it, which isn't the usual practice, is it?
Well, I want to push back on that just slightly. Mm-hmm. The DOJ's practice is to give a verbal briefing. So city manager, high-level executives at the city did receive an oral briefing from the Justice Department on Tuesday.
Ahead of the report's release?
Ahead of the reports. Now, this is a high-level overview. They don't go into depth. They did not receive the findings, but it's fair to say they had a general understanding of what was going to be released.
Because they seemed quite muted in their response and not, again, as vigorous as they have been over the past several months.
Exactly. I think it goes to show that it's real now. And, you have a tough road ahead of you, some seriously difficult choices.
Okay, it's real now. What comes next?
What comes next is the Justice Department and the city have to negotiate. They need to come to some mutual resolution. If they do not, they're going to end up in court. What the city has to decide is, do they want to go into a consent decree, which undoubtedly is going to be expensive, but they will have some say in what goes in that legal contract, or do they want to fight it, run the risk of losing or winning, but if they lose, they have far less of a say of what will be in their court-ordered contract.
All right. Taylor Seeley, thank you so much for your insight.
Thanks for having me.
You can see all of our Sunday Square Off coverage on 12news.com or on our YouTube channel. Go to 12news.com/YouTube. That's our show for this week. Thanks very much to all of our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. And to all my fellow dads, happy Father's Day. Here's to the best job in the world.